All right. Thanks for bearing with me. Anyways, how the heck are you? I've been away for a little bit. I haven't done a video, and I'm just not where I can talk about why for for the moment anyway. I'm just gonna enjoy my whiskey here and not get into anything else at the moment because I just can't. But I am off the weekend. I worked a long day today, so I am tired. Everything hurts. So I thought I'd have some whiskey neat, and then I also made a cocktail to share with you. And I finished off two bottles here from Rocktown out of Little Rock, Arkansas. This is their Arkansas single malt whiskey. This is their limited edition 4-year old Arkansas single malt whiskey distilled from malt mash finished in sherry cask. It's at 100 proof. Let me show you that there. My neat little glass here, shaped a little different than your standard Glencairn, as you can see there. Oh, don't remember if they give me notes here or not on the bottle. Double distilled in our copper pot still from 100% malted barley. They do not. I get some malted chocolate notes, and it's finished in sherry barrel, so it's not going to be unusual if you get some dark fruit notes, maybe a dark cherry, maybe date and or fig, raisin, that sort of thing. You might even get some dark overripe plum. That wouldn't be unusual. That's really up to you and your taste bud. In all honesty, but I love the chewiness of that 100% malted barley. I love the American single malt category because they're not bound by the same rules as others are doing a single malt. Some are done very similar to its Scotch and Irish counterparts and use bourbon barrels, but some take a completely different approach and use new Chardo, giving it a deeper, richer color and flavor. And this one is finished in sherry casks, taking it yet in a much different direction. Even at only 4 years, it really has a lot of dimension, flavor, and aroma. You can still pick out a lot of barrel on the nose, a lot of big oak. Uh, wasn't sure if I was going to do a video tonight or not. I thought I might just pour something and sit down, but I go ahead and try to do one with you, and we'll see how it goes. That'll kind of dictate the way the rest of the weekend goes and how much I choose to share this particular weekend. I did have an enjoyable visit at Rocktown Distillery back in August when we were there. I got there on two different occasions. It was nice. Got some very interesting products there. I know most people like to do tours. I don't. Because mostly I don't, you know, some of the information is interesting. A lot of them just kind of run into each other, right? But sometimes it's nice to hear each distillery's individual story. But I'm not usually where I have a lot of time in each place, and I'd rather just sit down at their bar or tasting room, listen to the bartender, than take some some tour, some scripted tour. I want to sit down. I want to look at the menu. I want to enjoy the products on my terms, which is why I don't typically. I understand why some folks like that. I'm just not that guy. I don't enjoy doing tours, so I don't typically. Like I said, I like to do things on my terms. I just want to sit down, relax. I'll ask the questions, the answers that I'm looking for. I'll ask the questions. I'll talk to the bartender. But I don't need again this factory tour, this scripted canned canned tour. I just it's just not for me. Many of them are pretty good. I'm not knocking them if that's something you enjoy. I enjoy more just sitting at the bar, talking to the people around me, talking to the bartender, and just trying to get a feel for their products and what they're trying to accomplish. And I personally feel like I accomplish that more by just relaxing and sitting at the bar, talking to the bartender and the folks around me more so than taking some scripted tour. Oh, I do like the American single malt category though. And again, a lot of that is because I like it because they're not bound by the same rules as others are. They're Scotch, Irish, or even Japanese whiskey counterparts do things a very specific way. Whereas Americans do what we do. We say, okay, well, I don't know why you guys haven't done this before or why you say it can't be done, but we're going to do it that way. There's a distillery out of Kansas City I really like, North Kansas City, called Restless Spirits. They do this very nice, interesting single malt uh, that is very reminiscent of an Irish single malt. Very similar, obviously not because it's distilled here, but they use the exact same, or let me change that, use a very similar process. So you get this product that tastes like a nice, refined Irish single malt. However, they also do another one where where it's matured in new charred oak cask, where it has a completely different taste and texture and aromatics. And again, starting with that same mash bill of 100% malted barley. And I love that distilleries can take a different approach to how they see fit, to how they see, their vision of that particular whiskey. But I will tell you that I love that 100% malted barley, man. I love the nature. I love the way it takes to the oak. I love the chewiness of the product. This one is just absolutely gorgeous, even though, like I said, it is only a 4-year old. It is more nuanced than you might imagine. But I was getting near the end on two of these Rocktown bottles. I thought, well, let's finish them both up, and I decided to use this one. Just neat, being a single malt whiskey. You tend to think of single malts being drank neat out of a Glencairn, so I'm using Rocktown's glass here. Not quite a Glencairn. I'm not sure what you call this shape, but I really enjoy it. For a 4-year old whiskey, like I said, is more nuanced than you might expect. A lot of barrel notes, a lot of barrel in the finish. It's an absolutely gorgeous whiskey. Oh, last weekend before Thanksgiving, I've been off Thanksgiving for a lot of years with my previous job and this one, but I practically begged my boss to allow me to open. I mean, they were fine being closed on Thanksgiving, but I have with a customer base, and several didn't have family near and may not have someplace to go. So I basically begged my boss to let me open and give some folks a place to go on Thanksgiving. It's going to be a short day. I mean, it's only going to be a 6 hour shift for me. I may end up having to stay longer, but nevertheless, we're only going to be the brewery itself is only going to be open for 5 hours. But if folks are hanging, I may hang longer too. It'll take a little bit to get it cleaned up, but then Friday, I've got a very, very long day Friday with Black Friday. Last year was rather intense, so I don't expect this one to be any different. I mentioned fruit notes at the beginning, and so early on, I pick up some nice, almost like malted chocolate notes. I pick up some. You might feel it as brown sugar. You might get a hint of molasses. There's certainly a lot of vanilla going all the way through it. But again, early on, I mentioned some fruit notes. Right near the end, I feel almost a slight tart cherry like note, along with the big oak, a mix of baking spice. Ah, it's just an absolutely gorgeous whiskey. It was probably close to about a 3 ounce pour, but it was rather generous. But there wasn't enough to do anything a second time, so I just said, "Screw it, toss it all in there." Then I work through these products. That'll be my Friday night. Well, of course, now it's Saturday morning, but I started the video on Friday night, nonetheless. Oh, oh. That nice spice in the finish. I mentioned a mix of baking spice. I also feel like I'm getting a hint of ginger in there right at the end. Again, it's just an absolutely gorgeous whiskey. As I get this one finished up, I did make a cocktail with the other one, so I'm going to jump off camera and go grab it. Boy, this is an absolutely beautiful whiskey. Let me show you that bottle one last time. Rocktown, Arkansas, single malt. See if I can get my eyes to focus here for a second. This whiskey was first aged in our own used bourbon barrels and then finished for 35 months in recharred sherry butt. So there we go. Got a lot going on there again. I just love that whiskey. Sad to see it go, but you know, they do you no good sitting on a shelf, so you got to drink them. Anyways, Sancha, I'm going to jump off camera here, and I will get that other whiskey or the other whiskey get that cocktail and talk about that other whiskey in that cocktail. Be right back. All right, I'm back. So I'm going to show you that whiskey here. Let me set that drink down. So I've got it chilled. It's more or less an old fashioned, again, using old fashioned or even a Manhattan as a template. I'll show you what we have here. I've got it very well chilled, but I'm not serving it with any ice. So this is another one that's aged 4 years. This is Rocktown Single Barrel Golden Promise Straight Bourbon Whiskey, finished in toasted oak. I'm sorry, finished in toasted French oak barrels. This one's at 110.4 proof. Finished in toasted French oak barrels, single barrel Golden Promise bourbon is distilled from a mash of 82% Arkansas corn, 9% Golden Promise malt, and 9% distiller's malt, bottled at cask strength from one single barrel. This thing, man, oh, good God Almighty, I've loved this whiskey, and I probably should have drank it straight, but I thought it would work perfect for this cocktail. And I have kind of a ginger old fashioned going on. So what I've used here, what did I do with that? I left it in there. Anyways, so I used the rest of that whiskey, about 3 ounces. But I used 1 ounce of the Rocktown, their ginger liqueur, which is the best ginger liqueur on the market, in my opinion. Better than that name, you know. It's really gorgeous. So it's the Rocktown whiskey, the Rocktown ginger liqueur, and just a couple dashes of the Hella ginger bitters. And then I've got a dark cherry in there for color, and then some candied ginger. Now that candied ginger will affect the flavor, but in my opinion, a very positive way. The sugar on the outside of that candied ginger will dissolve, adding just a hint of sweetness. However, once that happens, yeah, you guessed it. I mean, that ginger itself will impart more ginger flavors. So the longer it takes you to drink this, the more ginger you're going to taste. So it's hard to tell if this is really closer to an old fashioned because I'm not adding an additional sugar to it, or a Manhattan. It's not really Manhattan. Again, I'm using that as a template because the sweet vermouth adds a sweetness and some acidity where the ginger liqueur doesn't really do that. But again, it doesn't add quite the sweetness of adding a simpler sugar cube does either. Uh, Regardless, it's gorgeous, man. This is just a nice cocktail, a nice holiday inspired cocktail, right? Ginger kind of goes with the theme of the holiday. In this case, we're coming up to Thanksgiving, but I'm going to lump a lot of holidays together because there's a lot happening between now and, well, the end of the year. We've got what got Festivus, we got Christmas. Now, there's a few others I'm not thinking of at the moment, but that's why I don't understand why folks get their knickers in a twist when people say happy holidays. Well, there's more than one holiday. It seems rather arrogant of you to think that only your holiday matters. Hanukkah. There's a lot going on, man. Why can't all holidays just get long, man? Why can't we just celebrate all of them? I'd like to celebrate all of them myself. Why do we get bogged down with just one holiday? Other holidays matter too. That's gonna be. I'm gonna get signed. All holidays matter. Next time somebody says something about a war on Christmas, I'm gonna say, but all holidays matter. Anyways, I digress. I love screwing with the small-minded. It makes me happy. anyways, I digress. All holidays matter. For the all lives matter, folks. Anyways, I like I said, I did have a good visit there at the Rocktown Distillery. That's why I try to trot out my logo glasses whenever possible. Um, this is a perfect rocks glass, but in this case, like I said, I just chilled this cocktail very well. I didn't want any residual ice in it. I didn't want it to get watered down. I just want this cocktail good and cold, which is why I'm probably leaning more towards the Manhattan template. I have it chilled, but I don't want to leave ice in as most do an old fashioned anymore, even though traditionally it wasn't done that way. But nevertheless. Nevertheless, this is really nice though. Boy, I love the way those flavors work together with that Golden Promise with their own ginger liqueur. That is just a nice ginger liqueur, man. Mm. That candy ginger in here is interesting because it typically a garnish is just that. I mean, it's there to uh, enhance the appeal, the look of the cocktail. But in this case, the ginger, the candy ginger, really is functional because it's adding to the aromatics as well. Hey Gabriel, how you doing, man? Well, let me show you this whiskey one last time. We killed her tonight. The Rocktown Single Barrel Golden Promise at 110 and change. This is their cast. So bottling it at that or at that proof, you really got this beautiful, clean whiskey. It is absolutely gorgeous. So, anyways, we killed the single malt. We killed the Golden Promise. We're going to wrap this up before we run too long. But boy, that is tasty, man. That ginger, I really like that ginger, man. I'm not a big liqueur guy, but I mean, if you're adding sweetness, it's nice to get it in there that way rather than adding a sugar or a simple. And that ginger liqueur they have is just exquisite. And ginger's a nice flavor for the holidays. The ginger bitters work perfect for this particular cocktail, but I also have some cranberry bitters you're going to see a lot between now and Christmas. It's the only time I really use those cranberry bitters, but they're a nice addition to really accentuate and drive home the fact that you're making a holiday cocktail. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I am Tom, the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, premier wisdom. And all around good guys, Sláinte.